You don't feel lost because life is confusing, and you feel lost because your mind has never been trained. 2,000 years ago, Seneca warned that people would become mentally fragile as comfort increased. He predicted a world filled with distractions, endless opinions, and constant stimulation, and a generation unable to sit with itself without anxiety. This video is not here to comfort you, it's here to give you back control. Most people think Stoicism is about enduring life. Seneca knew it was about commanding the self. He did not ask how to survive hardship. He asked a far more unsettling question. Why do people collapse long before hardship ever arrives? Why are minds exhausted even in comfort? Why does fear rule lives that are, on the surface, safe? Seneca saw the answer clearly. He believed most people are not living in reality. They are living inside their thoughts about reality. And the mind, when left untrained, becomes the most dangerous place a person can inhabit. Seneca's philosophy begins with a quiet but ruthless truth. You are disturbed not by events, but by your judgments about them. This idea sounds simple. It is not. It dismantles the way most people explain their pain. It removes blame from fate, from society, from other people, and places responsibility directly where it is most uncomfortable, within. To Seneca, this was not cruelty. It was liberation. Because if your suffering is created internally, then your freedom is also internal. You are not required to wait for the world to improve before your life improves. You are not required to win, to be praised, to be protected, or to be understood. What you are required to do is govern your mind. This is why Seneca viewed philosophy as daily discipline, not intellectual entertainment. He warned that people read philosophy the way they collect decorations, words without transformation. But philosophy, to him, was meant to be used under pressure. It was meant to stand between you and panic, between insult and reaction, between loss and despair. One of Seneca's most misunderstood teachings is his view on misfortune. He believed that adversity does not weaken strong minds, it reveals weak ones. This does not mean he blamed people for suffering. He meant that hardship exposes whether the mind has been trained or neglected. When someone collapses under difficulty, Seneca would not say life is unfair. He would say preparation was missing. Modern life avoids this truth. We are taught to expect stability, to believe comfort is normal and disruption is abnormal. Seneca believed this expectation is precisely what makes people fragile. A mind that expects ease will experience hardship as injustice. A mind that expects challenge will experience hardship as training. This is why Seneca urged people to voluntarily experience discomfort, not as punishment, not as self-hatred, but as conditioning. He believed the mind must learn that it can endure cold, hunger, silence, boredom, and uncertainty without panic. When the mind realizes this, fear loses its authority. In modern terms, Seneca was teaching psychological resilience through exposure, long before the concept existed. Another central pillar of Seneca's philosophy is his obsession with time. He believed most people are poor, not in money, but in awareness. They treat time as infinite, and because of this illusion, they squander it. Seneca wrote that people fiercely guard their wealth, yet casually allow strangers, obligations, distractions, and meaningless pursuits to steal their days. To Seneca, wasting time was the most serious form of self-destruction, because time is life itself. He warned that the greatest tragedy is not dying early, but realizing at the end that you were never fully present while alive, that your attention was scattered, that your days were fragmented, that your mind was always elsewhere. This teaching strikes directly at modern life. We live surrounded by noise, constantly stimulated, rarely still. Seneca would say this constant distraction is not harmless, it is corrosive. It prevents self-knowledge, it prevents depth, it prevents the awareness required to live deliberately. This is why Seneca valued solitude. Not isolation from people, but isolation from chaos. He believed that without silence the mind cannot hear itself, and a mind that cannot hear itself cannot correct itself. Seneca also had a sharp and unsettling view of success. He warned that many people climb ladders that are leaning against the wrong walls. They chase titles, status, admiration, and influence, believing these will bring peace. But Seneca observed that the more external your identity becomes, the more anxious you grow, because anything external can be taken. He believed the most dangerous poverty is the inability to be content with little. This does not mean rejecting ambition, it means mastering desire. Seneca taught that desire must be trained like a wild animal. Untrained desire multiplies endlessly. It is never satisfied. It always asks for more. And a person ruled by endless desire is never free. Freedom, to Seneca, meant needing less, not owning nothing, but being able to lose without collapse. This is why he emphasized inner sufficiency. If your peace depends on applause, you will live in fear of silence. If your confidence depends on success, you will live in terror of failure. If your identity depends on others, you will never be sovereign. Seneca believed that true strength is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not react impulsively. It does not seek constant validation. It is grounded, restrained, and deliberate. This is also why Seneca warned so strongly against anger. He called anger a form of temporary insanity, not because emotion is wrong, but because anger removes choice. It overrides judgment. It convinces you that reaction is necessary, immediate, justified. Seneca believed the moment between stimulus and response is where freedom lives. Lose that moment, and you are no longer acting, you are being acted upon. Modern society normalizes constant outrage. Seneca would see this as mass enslavement. A population that reacts emotionally can be easily manipulated. A person who pauses cannot be easily controlled. This pause, this space, is what Stoicism trains. Seneca also spoke extensively about death, not to frighten but to clarify. He believed fear of death poisons life, that people who avoid thinking about mortality live carelessly, as if time will always be available. Seneca taught that remembering death sharpens focus. It strips away trivial concerns. It forces you to ask what truly matters. This is not nihilism, it is precision. When you know time is limited, you stop postponing courage. You stop delaying change. You stop tolerating what you secretly despise. Seneca believed you should live each day as if your character will be judged by it, not by others, but by yourself. This leads to one of his most powerful practices, daily self-review. At the end of each day, Seneca examined his actions. Where did he act out of fear? Where did he compromise his values? Where did he improve? This was not guilt, it was calibration, a way of aligning intention with behavior. Modern people avoid this practice because it requires honesty. But Seneca believed honesty with oneself is the foundation of peace. A mind that knows it acted with integrity sleeps well. A mind that betrayed itself is restless, no matter how successful it appears. At its core, Seneca's philosophy is not about being calm. It is about being aligned with reality, aligned with values, aligned with mortality, aligned with reason. he did not promise happiness in the form of pleasure. He promised something far rarer, unshakable stability, a mind that does not panic under pressure, a character that does not bend under temptation, a life that is lived deliberately, not accidentally. This is why Seneca's teachings still matter, because modern life has made people comfortable, but not strong, connected, but not grounded, informed, but not wise. Stoicism, as Seneca taught it, is not an escape from the world. It is armor for living within it. And that is the true meaning of his philosophy. If you want to continue building a mind that remains steady in chaos, disciplined under pressure, and free from emotional slavery, then subscribe to Stoic Gateway, where ancient wisdom becomes modern mental strength,